guys, MTast here, and I have not made a video that is helpful in a while. There's not been really anything to talk about for Destiny's Shadowkeep update in a couple of weeks, and so I've been just trying to grind out and do live commentaries and things like that. Hopefully I made you laugh, but there's something I wanted to bring to your attention because you're running out of time. I know it sounds so like important. Oh, you're running out of time, but you are. 25 days and let's just say 17 hours, because by the time this video is uploaded, it's going to be dropping. You're running out of time to finish off the season pass, but more specifically, you're running out of time to finish a couple of different activities you might want to consider. Now, with Season of the Undying ending, we don't fully know what activities will be staying and which ones will be going for a month, 2 months, 3 months, or indefinitely. And so I highly recommend you start farming some of this stuff now because it can put you ahead going into the next DLC, and there's a couple key things that I think are important here in the next 25 days or so while you're playing Destiny. So let's get started. Number 1 is the Season Pass. If you haven't completed this already, I'd be somewhat surprised unless you play very casually, because I completed this thing very, very quickly. As long as you're doing bounties while you're playing, this will finish off for the most part, for most people. But if for some reason you haven't been grabbing bounties and you haven't completed the Season Pass, get on it. Now, if you don't have the premium one, it's not as big of a deal, but if you do have the premium one and for some reason you haven't finished it, there are some crazy rewards in here for the average player. And I'm guessing if you haven't finished it, you haven't played a bunch, and this is going to be even more valuable for you. So one of the big ones is the Scroungers. There's armor Scroungers for strikes and crucible and gambit, as well as auto rifles and machine guns. Now, I wouldn't say the weapons are amazing, but having access to these Scroungers means that you have more access at loot drops while you're playing. Stats are a very big deal in this game, and so having access to more armor is important. But another big one is the exotic drops as well as the Ascendant Shards? Ascendant Shards. Right, yeah, I'm trying to remember what it is. So, the exotic engrams, I mean, that's always going to be good because some of the exotics in this game are insane. And if you don't play a bunch, having access to this is just amazing. But near the end here, there are a handful of Ascendant Shards. One at 80, one at 85, one at 94, and one... Oh, no, sorry, that was an engram. It was hiding behind my mic. But there's multiple Ascendant Shards here, and masterworking a piece of gear requires one. If you're a less skilled player, or you haven't been able to grind up your power level, getting your masterworked gear allows you to have 12 extra stats on every piece of gear you get. It gives you 2 extra stats in every stat. And that's actually quite a bit once you start adding it up. And if you get everything masterworked, well, that's enough stats to have an extra point in every single stat. And that starts giving you better cooldowns and hopefully beat the harder content. So getting Ascendant Shards is always going to be valuable. Now, done with the Season Pass, let's talk about some gear. With the Vex Invasion came a bunch of new weapons, and some of them are actually very, very good. The Optative is a great hand cannon for console. You can get PvP rolls and PvE, and there's stuff like the Adorative, I think that's how you say it, Pulse Rifle. And this is actually a pretty damn good pulse overall if you look at the stats and the potential rolls. Now, with the Vex offensive stuff, it might be gone in 25 days. I don't think Bungie has officially said, but the Vex Invasion is supposed to be finishing. And that would mean that stuff like the Vex offensive stuff, right here on the moon, if you look at this activity might be gone. Now, we don't know if it'll be gone. There's no guarantees it'll be gone, but don't risk it. Go in there, get some armor pieces as well as the weapons, and they drop very, very quick. Grind a couple rolls out, make sure you have these, because if they get vaulted and you can't get access to this, well, that's going to suck. You don't have to worry as much about the moon stuff. There's a new activity in Sorrow's Harbor, and that shouldn't go away. Now that the new Pit of Heresy is out, there's no reason to believe that this activity will go away, but you might want to farm those two just in case, but I doubt it. I don't see that going away. The moon is a permanent location, but the Vex stuff going on around it, as well as the Vex offensive, might be gone soon. Before I forget, also make sure to finish up these quests, because if Vex offensive does go away, you're just going to be missing out on a pretty easy to get drop. It's like no effort. You get this done very quickly while doing the activity, so do the bounties, get them done, and enjoy, hopefully, some awesome rolls. Now, this one might sound weird because this isn't going away. You can farm Izanagi's Burden whenever. However, the one thing I want to mention is, with Izanagi's Burden, it requires you to do a bunch of different forges. And the forges, unfortunately, are becoming less and less populated because there's less and less people that need to farm for stuff like the Yotun and this gun as well. I recommend you start getting on the grind for Izanagi's Burden now. In the past, it wasn't amazing. I mean, it was really good, but there were just better options. Now, this is a top DPS weapon, one of the best, if not the best, in the game. There's been a lot of people in the past few weeks farming for it because it's all of a sudden become godly, and I was actually one of the people that just got it this season. But the longer you wait, the less people are going to be around to do the different Black Armory activities, and it's going to make it a lot more of a slogfest. The other thing too, if you look in my quests here, I've got one for the Yotun right here, a Giant's Might. This is something you should also work on as soon as possible. If you haven't got the Yotun like myself, and you can see I don't have that much progress, you can get the Vex defeated very easily, but the Legendary Frames Forged is going to take you some time. If you're working on Izanagi's Burden, go and get this done as well, and hopefully while the forges are populated. Again, you can do these anytime, but the sooner the better in most cases. Now, if you're watching this video in the November 12th to November 19th week, you are in luck because bonus infamy is applied in Gambit. That means that you're going to get bonus Gambit points every time you play, and you're going to need a lot of them to unlock the 21 Delirium. In order to unlock this weapon, you need to reset your infamy, and that requires 15,000 points, 60 games, maybe even more if you lose. Right? It's a lot of points, but getting that bonus infamy will allow you to unlock it much faster, and 21 Delirium is one of the best guns in the game. Now, I recognize many people have it, but there's also many people that are joining the game with new light. I don't even have this weapon, but it became drastically better in the new sandbox. Not only can it circumvent the need to reload, which is amazing for the Haunted Forest activity, it also didn't get a nerf on its damage ability, Killing Tally, making this one of the best heavies in the game, but easily the best PvE heavy, or machine gun, I should say, hands down. So make sure, if you're doing it this week, grind it out. Grind it, get it done, you want this weapon. The Haunted Forest is also going away right away, so you need to work on this too if you're interested in getting pinnacle gear, as well as some of the cosmetics. I recognize, again, this is only 1 week of this 25-day period, but this is something you should work on because getting pinnacle gear and getting above 950 is going to prepare you for the next DLC. I recommend doing the Nightfalls, I recommend doing the raids if possible, but try to get as much pinnacle gear as you can because the higher your power going into the next DLC, the better. And I mean, you probably want some cool looking, cosmetics, right? The Recluse. Actually, any activity that requires competitive or survival, you need to start grinding for these. If you don't have them already, now is the easiest time there has ever been. They changed how many points you gain and how many points you lose, and they made it pretty much idiot-proof to get enough glory and get these weapons. Now, you might not get it in 1 day, but I maxed out in 1 day. That's right. I went from 0 to 5,500 in like 5 hours of play. Now, you're maybe not going to get that much, but many of these weapons like the Recluse and Mountaintop only require 2,100. As long as you're using SMGs, hand cannons, grenade launchers, you can get a lot of progress towards the Mountaintop, the Not Forgotten hand cannon, as well as the Recluse while just playing comp normally. Get this done. For the love of God, because who knows what the changes will be next season. But for the next 25 days, if you don't have some of these pinnacle weapons, the Recluse, the Mountaintop, even hell, Redrix's Claymore, get this shit done now. Now, for my final tip, I think this one's probably one of the most important, is start grinding the Nightfalls. Now, we're much higher power levels after the pinnacle changes. I'm actually relatively low because I've been busy and haven't been grinding it out that much, but if you can get to the 955 or 960 base power, and then you throw in all of the bonus points, you can make the Nightfall 980, and it's going to be very, very reasonable. You're going to probably dominate many of these enemies, and you can run through many of these Nightfalls pretty easily. If it ends up being an easy Nightfall, something very quick, you should consider grinding through it as much as you can during the week and stocking up on Ascendant Shards. Now, I've masterworked multiple pieces of gear. I've got different chest pieces, I've got some different helmets, and I've still got 5, sitting here for extra. Because I know that eventually I'm going to get some god tier pieces of gear that I'm going to want to masterwork. Getting those extra stats is important, and now that we're going to be, at level or above the level of the Nightfall, this is the time to do it. This is the time to grind, because going into next season, we don't know if they're going to up the level, right? If you look at your character, you might be 960, 970, 980. I don't know what power levels you all are. I don't know how much you've been grinding, but if you're getting close to 970, 975, it's very, very doable, very reasonable, and as long as you have the right weapons with, anti-barrier rounds and overload grenades, you got this, okay? Get this done, because if they do jack it up, you might be poor, you might not have Ascendant Shards for a couple of weeks going into the new season. Just something to think about. Now, I actually just thought of this one while looking through my inventory, and that's actually the raid gear. Now that we're into the season and people are higher levels, the raid is relatively easy, and it's probably going to be the best time to look for help doing these raids. Players understand the mechanics that have been raiding for a while, they're high enough power to carry people, and if you're looking to get some of this raid gear, I would start going on the LFG sites and looking for stuff now. Get it done while it's still pretty popular, while it's still pretty hot, and try to get yourself some weapons. This pulse rifle is one of the best pulse rifles in the game for PvP, and it's even good in PvE. There's a really good bow you can get if you get the good roll, there's a hand cannon that kicks some major butt, and even if you're just getting some pinnacle gear to get that power up, I really recommend trying to get the raid done now. Going into the next season, there might be other activities that people are trying to play way more, and unfortunately, it's going to be harder to find teams for the raid. I'm sure it'll still be popular, people still want to get some of that gear, but I would push and try to get this done now before everyone's moving on to the next season's content. That's pretty much it though. I don't know what else to say. Those are the main things I wanted to suggest, but if there's one thing that I forgot, let me know in the comments. Maybe I forgot a couple, and I would love to maybe make a follow-up video if I missed some major things that you should be doing before the season's done. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon, my friends. Bye-bye.